Camilo José Vergara, please come forward. With your discerning eye, creative drive, and passion for social justice, you have shown us the ability of photography to reflect and influence civic development and spur positive change. Born in Chile, you came to the United States and pursued studies in sociology. While working on your master's degree, you began photographing urban environments. Applying sociological methods of documentation, you created a visual record of people's lives in some of the poorest and most segregated communities in the United States, and an unprecedented portrait of urban decay. Your archives have been acquired by the Library of Congress, where they serve as a record of our collective urban memory. Embracing technology, you have used the internet to create a dynamic repository of communities across the country, mapping changes over time and space in a project that led courts to call you the man who's been doing Google Street View since before Google founders were born, which wasn't that long ago. Your work has earned you a MacArthur Genius Grant, as well as the National Humanities Medal, making you the first photographer to receive such an honor. Today, we are proud to recognize you with the Doctor of Fine Arts honoris causa. Congratulations.
Thank you. There we go. Yeah, there we are. All right. Congratulations. Very good. I'm very moved by this, and thank you all for being here. I thank the new school for giving me this award. And I want to tell you, first of all, that I came to New York right at the end of 1969-70. And it was the right place to be to sort of try to understand what has been a subject of for all my life, which is try to understand failure. I was sort of pursued by failure as I was growing up as a child, and then I never expected to come to the United States and find it in such a huge way, because I came in the midst of the deindustrialization of the United States. There were cities like Gary, Indiana, Detroit, Michigan, and certainly New York was falling apart in 1970 when I first came in. So I'm going to show you a few pictures, and and I don't know what advice can I give you. Pursue failure with all your heart and soul, and it's going to get you success. Maybe one piece of advice, because you get to understand it and you get to sort of talk to others about it, and then it becomes something that maybe is not failure. Any case, so let's put the images, the first images. When I used to go to the Lower East Side, which is nothing like what it is today, I used to see images like the one on the screen right now. It was an elderly woman at the entrance of an apartment, and she was holding a copy of the Daily News. And I could understand that the Daily News, having had that newspaper on her hand, meant that she had lived another day. And being at the entrance of her building meant that she wanted to show that to the world. I was able to see this boy in the Bronx. I don't know, are the pictures?
Yes.
Okay. I saw this boy in the Bronx, and I just got into that look. I've never had a look like that from a boy that kind of age. He was so grown up, and it kind of stayed with me. Let's see the next one. Then I went, of course, I was going to all the poorest places in the neighborhood, in the neighborhoods in New York. And the next image, please. The next image is a group of boys that were playing in the Bronx on the roof of a car. And that to me was very extremely impressive, because those were the cars that when I was a child, I would look up as the most wonderful gift of modern age and modern technology. And here they were, the 1958 Windsor was junked. Let's see the next. This was also one where I had an intervention that was, saw these little girls playing with white dolls in Harlem. And I was very interested in photographing it, and the girls arranged it perfectly for me. And they could understand that I wanted to photograph the dolls before they could understand that I wanted to photograph them. So they thought that the dolls were what interested me. So I made this picture, and then I asked them, why do you have white dolls? And that kind of, sort of froze them. And I realized I had said the wrong thing, that their dolls were their proud possession, and they were very happy to have them. Let's see the next one. And that's the last picture of my first series. This picture, I took this photographs when I was about your age, maybe a year or two older. And then they sort of stay under my bed for about 40 years. And then I resurrected them, and now they are all over the internet. So here you can see an image of Harlem from also from the same period. Now my next stage was to follow mostly buildings over time. Well, this is the last of the older pictures. Again, it shows you the wrecks that you would see strewn all over New York City. That's the Bronx River. Since then, it's been cleaned up. Let's see the next. The next image, please. Okay, and that's a horse-drawn carriage. There were even things like that in New York, and that was in 1970. And to see a horse-drawn carriage reminded me of growing up in the country back in Chile. So from then on, I moved on to another way of photographing, which was photographing individual buildings, blocks, and photographing them over time. And one of the series was on the Trade Center. The first picture, it was such an impressive, powerful view, such a thing. The city was crumbling in many ways, but this building was sort of, going to rescue it, or rescue at least a big part of it. So to me, to see the building going up and to see the homeless men sleeping right next to it was, just moved me very much. And then of course, I asked him, I talked to him, and he said, get me a sandwich. So I went and got him a sandwich. And then I did a series of photographs of lower Manhattan, which were taken from a point of view that every tourist photograph it. I'm going to go quickly there to show you the changes. The first image is from '79. The second image, it's from '79 too, but it's a different set of different lighting, different time of day. Let's see the next one. And then I was, of course, when September 11 came, I went to the Lower East Side, and that's the way it was. I crossed the Manhattan Bridge. This site where I do this, I take these pictures, and I go there once or twice a year. It's on the Brooklyn side of the Manhattan Bridge. It's sort of a favorite place for every tourist to take a picture because they get everything in there. They get the Statue of Liberty, they get the World Trade Center, they get the Brooklyn Bridge, and they get the river. Let's see the next one. And here is like a week or two after the World Trade Center tragedy. And let's see the next one. and that's when the lights came up, that's the view at 3 in the morning. Let's see the next one. And this is much more recent. You begin the new buildings going up, the new buildings of the World Trade Center, and all the star architects, it looks like the star architects of 100 years ago or 80 years ago, then had their buildings covered by the new buildings of the star architects of today. Let's see them. Next one. And here we're about 2016, and the lights of the building sort of match the light of the sunset. Let's see the next one. And here is at night, and I think we have one more picture here. And that's like a year ago, and again, the last, please. And that's the way it was like 2-3 weeks ago. So I follow this particular setting, and I follow many other buildings throughout the country, I can say. And I hope that that record is useful, and I hope it's a testimony of something which I like to share with you, which is, a sort of insatiable curiosity. And I think a photograph taken at one time, it's almost like a commitment to a place, and then you go back and a story begins to be told to you. So I encourage you to be curious and to follow that throughout the rest of your lives. Thanks.